It was a huge week in professional wrestling, or weekend, I should say, Bobby. And in the midst of that, there was a moment in time. A moment in which it appeared that huge weekend would include our favourite federation,
Hmm.
world famous World Wrestling Federation. And, well, plans changed, as the kids say. Bobby, back for Fed Dead Redemption. It's been a couple of weeks, pal. How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's weird doing it this early, isn't it?
It
It
is, but we have the big Revolution recap later at our normal, well, what, an hour after our normal Fed Dead
mhm.
time. So,
Yeah.
got to get everything in.
There's a lot going on, man. There's always a lot going on, and I'll be honest with you, Bob. I don't know if that's the case over in WWE. Would you just give me before we even get into here, because we're going to do it an hour here, folks. But I'm intrigued. Bob, give me like a sum up of what happened last week on TV in terms of, was it like a good week, a bad week? They tread water. What would you say?
I mean, I thought Raw was okay. Like, I know I was watching it live when we were doing the
Yeah.
Grin-thon, but like, going back and actually watching it, with sound and all that did help. Um,
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown was fine, NXT was fine. They're kind of like steady building towards WrestleMania, but also just kind of announcing matches on Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. Like, it doesn't really feel like the road to WrestleMania.
I've seen a lot of debate about that, and I tried to really kind of figure out the fact, and I'm aware now more than ever that it is a fair debate, and some people are more into it than others. It definitely feels like, on a whole, the interest is down slightly. Would you agree in terms of WrestleMania?
Yeah,
Um, do you think that's a case of the matches that have been made, or the way they've been made, as you kind of alluded to there?
I don't know, like, because in a vacuum, like Brock and Roman, Charlotte and Ronda, Becky and Bianca, they're all like objectively
Hmm.
big matches, but like, you know, it seems like people that I see don't really care about them, and that's not saying the audience doesn't care about them.
Right.
I think the audience is very high on all three of those. Um,
Yeah,
but it can be different when you're in the bubble.
it certainly can. We learn that very often. So, what would you say was the highlight from Raw? I see here on Cage Match, which Tony Khan apparently uses more than me. People like the tag match with Owens and Seth and Alpha Academy. This
Yes.
feels like they've got a real team with. I mean, I know it sounds silly they're the tag champs, but like, I don't think they expect them to be this good of a team in ring. They're damn good from what I've seen.
Oh yeah, they're very good. Like I've always liked Otis. He was one of the guys that went to that big man class that they sent Keith Lee and Omos to, and I think
Hmm.
he really benefited from it. Like he's
Yes.
been very good the past year.
Did you see his quote about this? Is not me doing a bit, I promise. But did you see his quote about Samoa Joe?
No.
He said like Joe really worked with him, and I don't know when this was, whether this was years ago in NXT or like recently. But he said Joe really worked with him on how to actually be like a big man that can move but doesn't completely just throw it away, basically.
Yeah.
And he said he's trying to channel that as a heel, which I thought was interesting. First Samoa Joe reference there, folks, under 4 minutes into the program. If you would like to make your own, you can send us a tip. Streamlabs.com/late night grin. I saw the Pal Riley sent one last night, which I'll read on the Revolution review. You can do the same if you have a hot take about the World Wrestling Federation. Feel free. Now, I mentioned Seth and Kevin. What's the WrestleMania plan for these guys, Bobby? Where do we think we're going here?
Well, I mean, it kind of felt like they're waiting for Stone Cold and Cody, but like,
What a
you
sentence
know,
that is, by the way.
yeah, I know, right? Now the Stone Cold one, might not be a match; it might just be an in-ring thing. It kind of feels like, I know they're doing the big tag match tonight, but it kind of feels like the tag match is like the move for them. But it's weird that they're doing it tonight because you could just run, RK Bro against Seth and KO against Otis and Gable and even the Street Profits at Mania. And I think that'd be a very good match. Put a ladder match or something, that'd be very
Mhm.
exciting. And maybe they still will, but like, it definitely seems like they're still waiting to hear back from those guys.
You brought it up. I was going to save this, but we may as well just talk about it, right? You referenced it. Um, Cody, the ongoing saga that I can't believe we still care about. I don't, certainly. Um, what's happening, Bob? You're a scoopster. What the hell is going on?
I don't know, man. It's been 3 weeks now. It's I kind of thought he'd show up at one or the other by this
Yeah.
point, but now I'm kind of feeling like he's going to be involved in this Ring of Honor thing, but that doesn't seem to have like a definitive starting date. And from what
Mm.
it sounded like, Tony hasn't really put all the pieces together on that yet, even. So, you know, it kind of feels like by like the night after WrestleMania, if Cody's not there, he's not going to come in.
which is fascinating because it felt like a sure thing, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, that'll be something to see. Finn Balor won the US title. Big
Yep.
fan of Finn. How was the match? Firstly, Bob, and then secondly, what do we think Finn's going here for WrestleMania?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, they might just do Finn and Priest again at WrestleMania, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Have Finn be the demon and, go for that. I don't really care for the demon stuff anymore, but,
Mhm.
it's still a big thing for a big stadium like that.
Yeah.
And that would be fine. I mean, maybe add a couple other guys, but, I think Finn and Priest actually work pretty well together.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to feature Priest in some form or fashion, right? It feels like so. So I don't disagree at all. I'm looking here at the other WWF events. Have you watched Level Up yet, by any chance?
I have not.
Does anyone you know watch Level Up?
I see a couple people tweeting about it.
Okay.
It's on during Rampage, and I don't go back and watch it because I forget about it.
Did you do a 4-hour podcast?
That too.
Yeah, or 3 recently because we have a fight an hour too. Carry on.
I'm sure it would be fine. I know there was a big thing this week about injuries and stuff, and it's developmental. It probably shouldn't be on TV, but I also think that's the best place for a show like that is on Peacock. The injuries are not good, but it helps people get reps and gets ready for TV. And I think it's a net positive. I just think obviously you don't want injuries to happen.
I think in the way the landscape is now, I just don't think there's any way you're doing a developmental show and not having it air somewhere. This content is king, man. You're going to find a place for that. I agree with you. Peacock's a good place for it. It's just a matter of who you're putting out there and why. So Raw closed with the big Edge segment, right? And he turned heel. I guess he did the hair thing, right?
Yeah.
Surprised that Edge is turning. I mean, he's beloved, right? Was that a surprise to you?
It was these part-time guys come in and except for Batista, I can't really think of too many that have worked heel in the past 5 or so years. So I mean, it's always surprising when it happens. I mean, I'm excited for the match. I still like Edge. I think more than a lot of people, in our circle. I think he's actually been pretty good since he came back.
I agree. I actually agree.
Yeah. I wish, and I'm not going to base it just off one segment, but I liked him as a heel, in the mid-2000s. I hope he kind of can draw back to that instead of just doing the hair and the faces and looking at his hands and stuff like everyone else does.
He went, you said mid-2000s. Would you agree that by 2009, he had kind of become a parody of himself a little bit with those facials and those, I think he needs to find a balance. Do you think this is headed to an Edge title run of some kind as a heel?
It wouldn't surprise me, because the prevailing thought is Roman wins at Mania. Raw's gonna need a title. They're not just gonna have one title. I know we all think they are, but at some point Raw's gonna have another title, and there's a handful of guys there that could do it. It could be Edge, it could be Rollins, it could be Kevin Owens. But yeah, I think Edge. It would be surprising if he doesn't win the title at any point in this comeback run, which we don't know how long he's got left.
Right. I would go as far as say I wouldn't be surprised if he gets back the belt he never lost, the actual big gold.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, speculated, and I would be fine with that. I don't know that they're going to call back to something from 10 years ago when they don't call back to things from, a few weeks ago, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. I think, a big gold belt coming back would be awesome.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense, but, we'll have to see.
Caleb has a good question. One for you, Bob. He says, is he a heel or does he just want to bring the pitbull out of AJ Styles? What do you think, Bob?
That's a good question. I know he's going to, explain himself tonight, so hopefully we get some more answers. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm excited for it. I like both of them a lot.
Pretty decent reviews for Raw this week. Thumbs up from you, Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay, NXT, I watched the opening match of this one based on recommendation from our great friend, the world-famous Oracle of Wrestling. Bron Breakker and Tommaso Ciampa versus the Dirty Dogs was a damn good tag match. And, I Bob, this is your show. I don't want to repeat myself. Couple things, though, that we need to hit here. The Dirty Dogs are just a really good fucking wrestling team. They're really good. And that should be the consensus, and I don't know why it isn't. Bron Breakker is sorry, Bob, go ahead. Talk on that.
No, just with the Dirty Dogs in particular, they went down there and they were, top heels in the promotion. It was crazy. The crowd was really against them. It was actually pretty cool to see. And we've talked about how, having guys that don't have anything on the main roster going down there and doing this type of stuff works. And here it is again.
it's amazing sometimes people can be slotted in a way you don't quite grasp just how good they are. You know, the Dirty Dogs are a great example. They are just damn good. Bron Breakker, Bob. I mean, you and I have been consistent on this, and I'm going to just beat that drum one more time. This dude's like one of the great prospects I've seen in years and years. He's incredible. He's selling, his instincts, all of the above. He is just great. He was great in this match. I love the opener. Bob, any other thoughts on the opening tag match on NXT?
Oh, I liked it a lot. People were upset that Ciampa came out in the singlet. I thought it was cool that he showed personality for the first time in 6 years. But yeah, as far as the opener goes, no, I think you should go seek it out if you have not seen it.
The Women's Dusty got underway. Any thoughts, Bob, on that front? It doesn't like either match was a kind of home run by any means, but any thoughts on the general idea of it?
No, not really. I mean, it feels like, EO should factor into the final probably. This Core and Raquel team could make a run. I think, the first round was a little kind of lax because they have, a mix of people who have been there in developmental. But I think as we get later into it, it's going to be people that are more established. Fair.
How does the young man pronounce his name? The Fatu, the Uso, how do we say this? Solo?
It's Solo Sikoa, I believe.
Sikoa. Is that the same? I wondered if there was like an extravagant pronunciation. It's just literally Sikoa. Okay. I saw little bits of this match, and it looked pretty good. I heard good things. Where are we at on young Solo as a prospect, Bobby?
I think he's going to be pretty good.
They usually are, right?
Yeah,
that family they usually are.
He's got the bloodline, so
Mm-hmm.
I thought the match was fine. I mean, we knew that Gunther was going to win the whole time, and that can be tough to deal with. But I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, I mean, is this an interesting kind of a crossroads deal where it feels like Gunther's he's probably going to work for the belt soon in NXT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would be my guess. And obviously Solo's brand new, so it's interesting. Finally, this one. Any thoughts, Bob? Because Pete Dunne is prolific as an in-ring guy, and Carmelo Hayes has got a lot of hype, rightly so. Thoughts on the main event of NXT?
Yeah, I thought it was good. They're obviously trying to make Carmelo out to be a big deal. I think they're doing a good job with it, and I still like Pete Dunne quite a bit. It doesn't seem like there's maybe a spot for him on the main roster, which is what it is. We've talked about that, but I think he was good here. I think Mello looks good. He's apparently going to have a ladder match at Stand and Deliver. So, it got kind of weird at the very end, but overall it was good.
Shawn Michaels in his ladder matches, huh, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I generally don't mind them. I usually will like a good ladder match, but, they did get to a point where they were doing them every 2 weeks a couple years ago, and it's maybe not. Uh-oh. Well, let's just keep going along here, I guess. I'm on my own now. We'll move on to SmackDown, where the big story of the evening was Ricochet beating Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title with the help of Johnny Knoxville. The thing about Ricochet, there's that report that's out that, he's the second babyface on SmackDown now, and, I mean, it's hard to argue. He's got the Intercontinental title now. But I'm excited for Zayn and Knoxville. I don't think it needed the belt. I thought maybe they do a ladder match there just because you can kind of throw Knoxville around. It's not a big deal. But I've had the same issues that everyone's had with Ricochet in the past. He's a good guy in the ring, but he can't talk much. But there's ways around that. That's the thing. And that's really the thing and I'm interested in seeing who he's going to face at WrestleMania because he's probably going to factor in now. And then elsewhere on SmackDown, had Roman come out, do his thing. I still enjoy that. Not everyone is super into that. They moved onward with the Pat McAfee and Austin Theory thing, which isn't Pat McAfee and Vince, which probably for the best. You don't want Vince to have a match. Probably would have been McAfee and Shane if Shane didn't do whatever it is that he did to get himself kicked out of the company. We can get back to SmackDown a little bit if Joe ever comes back, but I do want to get into Vince on Pat McAfee as well. Because I think the thing with that is a lot of people were surprised, hey, this is kind of boring, and it's I get it, but also Pat wasn't going to be the one to really ask those tough questions. I mean, like, I thought it was still the best Vince interview we've seen in quite some time. But the thing is, like, you had to keep your expectations leveled, I think. And, I didn't see a lot of people doing that, but ultimately, it was kind of boring. Like, Vince didn't really say anything we weren't aware of, but it was cool to see him kind of open up and give that sort of energy that we haven't seen from him in the past couple of years because he doesn't do interviews. So, just that alone was cool. Is this still on? If anyone's in the chat, if you could let me know if we're still rolling here, because the chat hasn't really been updating, so I don't know what our issue is here. I can just keep going with it. Professional. So get into the Madison Square Garden show a little bit. Like, it's weird. Like, it was weird all day Saturday. Like, I thought there'd be an announcement, like, at least watch the main event on YouTube or Peacock or whatever. And we just didn't get that. So, they spent these weeks promoting a show, and, I get it. It's the Garden. They wanted to sell tickets and all that. Brock's a draw, whatever. But, like, I think if you're going to do that, you should air it somewhere. And then for it to just end up being Austin Theory instead of, Cody comes out and signs his contract, or it's someone that's like a credible threat, and it's an Austin Theory squash match. And then, that part I didn't care for. But then, that ends and Roman comes in and beats Brock down. Brock gets color. First time in a long time that we've seen blood in WWE. And, I think that was kind of part of it at the end of why they did it the way they did. Like, we're going to draw attention to this. We're going to do this beatdown at the end. We're going to have blood without it actually being on TV. And then, we'll get the black and white video or pictures or whatever on SmackDown or even on Raw tonight. So, like, I think it worked out. Yeah. So that's kind of where we were at with that. Like, I didn't see the rest of the Garden show because, like I said, you couldn't really see it anywhere. From what I read, like, kind of a standard house show. I know they did Becky against Bianca against Rhea, which would actually be a match I'd like to seek out and a match that I would like to see them do going forward. Because it feels like Rhea, they're kind of positioning her, but she doesn't have anything at Mania right now. So it's like, is she going to win the Women's Battle Royal, which they are apparently doing, but they're not doing a men's one, or are they going to find an opponent for her? Because, we're running out of time. We've done the bit with Alexa. I don't think that's going to come to pass at this point. But it's like, Rhea's someone that you have to find something for. And just, again, Joe said in the past, like, maybe Beth, maybe Lita, and either of those would be cool. But, we're getting to the point where you have to actually get it going, and maybe that'll be tonight. And we'll have to wait and see. A couple other things for Raw tonight. Like I said, Edge is going to explain his attack on Styles. Alpha Academy can defend the title against RK Bro and Seth and KO, which should be a good match. I don't, always like multi-team tag matches, but it will probably be fine. Logan Paul is going to be on Raw because it's a homecoming party for The Miz in Cleveland, and also from Cleveland, Jerry Lawler is going to be there. So sorry to hear that. Wonder what sort of angle they're going to run there. Hopefully someone beats him up. Yeah, so some other stuff that I think would be cool to see on Raw tonight, and Raw's in an interesting place because, they obviously don't have a main men's title match, so, like, everything else should matter more, but, so far they haven't done a great job with that. Like, they did the US title change last week, and that was cool. We talked about that a little bit, but I'm interested in seeing where they follow up with that. I'm interested in seeing, kind of what the plan is itself, because you got TV time to fill. Like, the TV time, I think, should be, especially when you don't have a pay-per-view coming up until Mania, like, the TV time should be really big, should be a big deal. And, I've always kind of thought that, like, Raw back in the day, No Way Out was a SmackDown
going on? Can you see me? StreamYard said it's having issues creating and posting streams. I think my return kicked Bob out. I texted Shoot and was like, Shoot, save Bobby. And he said, I can't get in. This is fucking insane. I had to test my whole internet. I may get kicked out here in a second when Bob comes back. True Heat just went for the same thing. Okay, so it said it was an issue on their end, so I was like, oh, that's weird. Let me get rid of this overlay because I don't actually need to have that across my head like Bob does. Where is it? There we go. Here he is.
Okay.
So, True Hill Heat had the same problem. It was a stream. We're having issues. You were still going.
Yeah, I couldn't see the chat, so I was just kind of going.
You did a hell of a job, Bobby. Seriously, that was incredible, man.
I was just trying to scramble. I mean, we could double back on some stuff that I talked about there because I was just trying to, weather.
You did a hell of a job. Seriously, that was because I don't think Bob can see the chat, so I can't believe you stayed on. I got kicked off.
I know, right?
Have you ever seen that screen before? The one that kicked us off, by the way. The one was just like it just flashed. Boom, You're gone. You're out here. All right. Did you about Ricochet winning the title?
I did, but we can go back to it. I just kind of touched on it, but like,
okay, go ahead. So Ricochet, I mean, I'm a big fan. You won the IC title, which I thought was really cool. I love the finish. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad like Knoxville and Zayn's not for the title. Like they could have done a ladder match there probably and just throw Knoxville around or whatever, but it doesn't need to be. Like, let Ricochet have a moment and do what you're going to do with him. And if he's going to be, the second babyface on SmackDown now, it's a good start to position him like this.
Absolutely. Drew Mack is headed to Corbin, as many of us feared. Bob, your thoughts on this? Are people overreacting, or is this as uninspiring as folks say?
I mean, it is, but like we also knew it was going to happen. So I don't know. Like, I'd rather him face someone else, but he could also still come out of this and be fine and be a top guy over the summer. So like, I get the overall point, but I also don't know who else he would face just on SmackDown because they don't have a ton of guys.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. On the tag team front, where do you think we're headed, Bob? The Usos work Viking Raiders on SmackDown. Pretty nice match based on this. Any kind of destination in mind? We're going to get just another New Day match, do you think?
Yeah, probably. Probably just another New Day match, which is fine. I mean, I know they do it a lot, but they're always good. So
yeah. It's fun. Ronda Rousey, Sonya Deville, I heard pretty good things about. I think there is increasing evidence, Bob, that the take you and I shared a few weeks ago, in regards to Ronda actually being fine when it's saying she's been more prepared for than the Rumble, she doesn't seem to be struggling so much. This seemed to go. I mean, it's a short match, but it seems to go over pretty well, right?
Yeah. She was good. I thought she was good at Elimination Chamber, like we talked about a little bit too. But yeah, she's definitely improved. And it feels like, that Mania match, for whatever people are going to want to say about it, it'll work because it's going to be, catered to both people's strengths, right? And that's all you can look to do there.
It'll be produced in a major way. Like it will be, they're not going to just let them just cut her and figure it out on the fly, right? Let's talk a little about the weekend and what was a really unique, bizarre kind of set of circumstances at MSG. Now, this is a weird situation where people definitely work themselves into a shoot with their excitement, but at the same time, this did get some TV build. And in addition, obviously there was some stuff out there online and people were getting really excited and so on and so forth. Thoughts on this whole thing, this whole experience of the MSG show that no one could watch, but became a big thing for like an hour, and then just when it was done, everyone just went back to what do you think of this whole thing?
It was weird, right? Like I said, I kind of was waiting all day Saturday for it to be like, watch the main event on YouTube or something, and it's never happened. Yeah. I watched it on someone did like a Periscope or whatever they're called now from the arena. I watched it and I'm like, oh, it's Austin Theory. And then I really didn't watch it anymore. And then they did post the post-match thing, which I think ultimately it was like a way to let Brock get busted open without doing it on TV, because I don't think they want to do it on TV anymore, even though they're going to show it on TV. So like it's a really weird route to take to get there. But, I think we're going to get the black and white, this is what happened. Here's some pictures. Here's some video. He got his ass beat.
So Riddle is wrestling Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. Sorry, not Riddle. Theory is wrestling Pat McAfee at WrestleMania, right?
Mm.
Is he going to lose that match?
I mean, probably, right? Like, it'd be weird.
I can't figure out if we're supposed to take him seriously or not,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, originally, someone pitched, he's not actually talking to Vince, it's all in his imagination, and I actually like that a lot. I don't think they're going to do it, but that rules.
That rules.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it seems like kind of the joke is that he sucks, right?
I think so, but he's also on and off that it feels like they care. I don't know. I honestly can't figure it out. Have you yet talked about the ongoing rib that you pull on yourself regarding the Fiend, Alexa Bliss, and Rhea Ripley?
Well, I was talking a little bit. It's weird that as of right now, Rhea's probably just in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania. I'd probably not do that. I'd probably find something for her.
Is there a Battle Royal?
There is apparently going to be a women's one, and then the men's one will be on SmackDown like it was last year.
All right. Now, Natty was watching the tag title thing. So, it feels like Natty's involved in that somehow. I don't know who her partner is, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to call Beth or if she's going to end up with Tamina again, even though they're on different shows.
Shayna. Could be Shayna.
Shayna, yeah. That's kind of weird, too, though, because they already announced that match as a 2-on-2 match, which, you can add people, it's fine, but why not, get everyone in there and then officially announce it?
The reason I bring that up is because if they're adding more teams, it feels like they'll just add Liv and Rhea, right? They teamed up with Bianca last week. It's easy for them to just go, boom, throw them in there. I have to say, and this is a running bit between you and I, but genuinely, the Alexa stuff was fucking weird last week, man.
Yeah.
That was a weird deal, wasn't it? We were having a little bit of a back and forth, and granted, I replied to all of your text messages with 100 in red, but, that is, you get what you get, I suppose. What is going on? It was very strange, Bobby.
I mean, it seems like she's getting ready to get married, and they just wanted her at the Elimination Chamber, I guess. But, I don't know, man.
Do you think it was the original plan for her to be at the Chamber? Because I'm starting to think it wasn't.
No, it doesn't feel like it.
What was interesting about the wedding element that you mentioned was it certainly appeared that Alexa was actively angry and subtweeting the World Wrestling Federation, and people were replying, explaining to her that she's getting married, she didn't know. And as far as I know, that's after WrestleMania because the intention was that she would be on WWE television and then do WrestleMania and then go home.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear like that's going to be the case, Bob. Right? It could be wrong. She could be on tonight. They change their mind every week. But unless it's Rhea, it's what is she going to be doing? It's just, she's had a weird couple of years in that promotion, man. I mean, my gut feeling on it. We don't need to do it here, but I don't know, Bobby. Something's up.
Yeah, I mean, and she's making the best of everything. Those the therapy skits were good because of her. I think she was good in the Chamber, and it's just but also, it's worth noting that is just kind of how she tweets too.
Oh yeah.
She might be mad or she might just be,
I think the Columbus thing is fascinating because it's I looked at that show, when you were doing it, we were talking about it. It's there was definitely room for her to just beat, Dana Brooke or whoever, or Tamina, right? I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know what's going on. This is what I was replying to Bob every time he messaged me about this whole matter on Tuesday as it unfolded on Twitter.
Facts, all caps with 3 exclamation points, and then 100 in red, as in keep it 100.
So good. Bob, Tope Suicida. If Alexa were to join AEW tomorrow, where does she rank in the women's division? Did you see people replying the All Elite graphics?
I did.
Fucking hilarious. Good question, Tope. Bob, you're going to lead on that one because I ain't getting myself in trouble here on public podcast.
Maybe the bottom of the top 5.
Serious question. And like, I know my answer, and I think I know yours, but I'm not sure we have the guts to say it. Is she better than the AEW Women's Champ?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like, I think match catalog Britt wins because she's had bloodbaths, and God bless her for that. Because Alexa certainly ain't doing that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like, mechanically, folks, there's some shit over there at DMD Town that's just rough, man. I don't know. I don't know how good she'd be compared to the other women in ring, but I think she'd probably surprise some people. I get the sense, but that's I don't think we'll ever actually have that conversation for real. I feel like if she leaves there, she's probably just gonna be like, "I'm good on wrestling," which is fair. But it's interesting. Thanks for fueling our grin there, Tope. We have a super grin from JJ who says, "Please give this exclusively to Bob." Absolutely not. For carrying the show. Any thoughts on 2K22 and EA news? Bobby, what do you think?
I actually, the UFC game was the free PlayStation game last month, so I've been playing a little bit. The engine is good, so if they use that engine, I'd be cool with it. The problems with EA, I don't think are really the in-game stuff. Yeah. I think it's more like the microtransactions and the fact that if that happens within like 2 years, it's going to be 90% Ultimate Team, 10% everything else.
Yeah.
But that's not to say like 2K is doing a great job. I mean, the game that is coming out now, I've seen all kinds of reviews for it. I ended up not pre-ordering it. I'm going to wait a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting because it kind of feels like it would happen eventually, but also EA in 2022 kind of sucks.
I really want this WWE game to be good because I want to buy it.
Yeah.
That render of honestly, they haven't actually used. What are they? They're just using like pictures of the guys in the game, right? Like the roster's just the picture of Samoa Joe with the night shirt popped me and confirmed shoot tremendously. I don't even know if they sold that shirt, but if they did, I want to buy it. So the roster pops me. I want the game, but I don't know if it will be any good. Meech has a good question. Does Bob expect a 2K22 game to work?
Yeah, I think it's a high expectation.
It is. The other Bob doesn't think so.
Careful, pal.
Hey, man. No paywall, right? Oh, fuck it. Who cares? WrestleMania. Do you like the song, Bob? Could you sing the song for our 200 patrons on behind the paywall sometime?
Yes, I will do that at some point.
That's actually a good one for you to sing.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Because you can kind of like talk it a little bit, Okay. Let's look at WrestleMania. Night 1, we currently have both women's title matches, so Charlotte and Ronda, Becky and Bianca. We have the Logan Paul fiasco alongside The Miz versus the Mysterios. And we have Drew and Happy Corbin. How many of those matches are you excited for, Bob?
I think both the women's matches will be fine. Becky and Bianca should be genuinely very good. And Charlotte and Ronda, we talked about it a little bit earlier. If they produce it right, could be pretty good. That's about it, though, for now.
Logan Paul not doing you much over here alongside The Miz?
No, and I don't mind celebrity matches. That'll be what it is. But, I just would prefer that to be Ray and Miz.
Yeah. I don't know. Are they going to do the Ray and Dom, split thing?
I guess so. That's got to be what they do at some point. I don't know what you do with Dom after that, though. Should
he just go to NXT, Bob?
Probably. I think he'd fit in really well with this one because he's not he's not bad or inexperienced. He just sticks out on the main roster of being a guy who probably isn't quite there yet. But in NXT, he'd be one of the 10 or so best guys to have there.
And you could also, and this is an interesting thing that I hadn't even thought of, Ray could go there.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine Ray working Gunther in a NXT title program. Ray could do what Dolph and Bobby are doing right now for a couple months. And, the dude's an all-time great. I get why people would say don't put him there, but it's freshen him up a little bit. I don't think it'd be a problem. Good question here from Macy Slacker who says, Bob, what is your chosen entrance and finisher for your own creator Bob on the video game?
I've never actually done one of those, so I would have to think about it because I usually just skip the career mode in most of these games.
I think a good entrance for you would be... The Undertaker would be pretty good, wouldn't it?
True.
On the bike,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You guys overlap there. Finisher. We talked about this before in terms of your finisher, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. I don't remember
what did we conclude?
Ended on.
Judas effect.
Yeah, there we go.
I can't wait to talk about him tonight, Bob. Fucking guy. Okay, night 2. We only have 3 matches so far. We have Brock, Roman, Zelina, Carmella, Sasha, and Naomi, Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn. How many of these weeks are I for, Bobby?
I mean, all 3 of those are at least a little intriguing. Like, Sasha and Naomi are going to show out at Mania. You assume they're getting like a big moment, getting the titles. I know most people at this point are not pleased about Brock and Roman, but I think we're going to get a match closer to 31 than 34.
I agree.
And in Knoxville, our pal Contrarian Alex said he's the one celebrity they don't have to like worry about injuring or whatever, so they can just kind of go all out with him.
Sammy will too. He hits guys pretty hard with that kick in the corner, brother. So yeah, it'll be interesting. The other 2 matches announced, we have Edge and AJ, Pat and Austin Theory. Is Edge and AJ going to be a show stealer, Bob, or is it going to be one of those matches that really is polarizing? Like a lot of Miz's kind of recent big time stuff has been. What do you think?
I think it should be a show stealer, but I also thought that about AJ and Randy at WrestleMania 35, and I don't remember anything about that match. So
yeah, well, you remember the lights, right?
Yeah, the lights, but
was you there?
I was.
Did the lights affect you?
No, but then they did at both Royal Rumbles I went to, so kind of got owned.
Did you send a tweet that night about how people were complaining about the lights and then it all came back around to bite you? Is that what happened?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I saw someone ask this. This is a good question. Will you guys do a gameplay stream? None of us are buying the game here until we know it works because unfortunately, we haven't got the foresight. Someone put it on Twitter. So we're going to wait. We're going to see if it works. I know that Shoot and I have kicked around some ideas for what we could do on the game for content. I'm not promising anything, but I do think with some of the modes they have on there, we could have some fun. There's a lot of good wrestlers on there that have since left the promotion, so we can have fun with that.
Yeah.
The Australian Nightmare being one of them, even though his rating is like a 75 or something. So, yeah, there you go. We'll do something with it if it's good and it works. If not, we will not buy it because some of us simply do not like to play broken video games. Is Pat McAfee wrestling a big deal, Bob?
I mean, I guess it depends, because he has a big audience. Like you tune into that YouTube show, it's always 100,000 or whatever people watching it, and that's a difference maker. I thought he was pretty good in his NXT matches.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that it's necessarily a big deal, but I'm interested in seeing it again.
Because it's like, I agree with you. I don't have any question of his performance. I just wonder if it's like an actual. Because I remember when at NXT it wasn't exactly, this kind of big blockbuster moment in professional wrestling history. But
he's kind of a bigger deal now than he was, a year and a half ago. So
made a lot more money.
Yeah.
So I think the celebrity stuff is part of WrestleMania. I think they need more matches, and I frankly don't know if these are possible. But more matches of the Edge AJ variety for the sake of balance feels like kind of something that needs to happen for this card, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think is waiting to be announced? Like, what's kind of we know is happening but hasn't been announced? Are any of those matches around right now?
No, I mean Ricochet against maybe Sheamus, and then Finn and Priest, and if they add some other people to that, and then probably both the tag matches.
It's just, and look, I know you've talked about this, and this isn't what this show's about, but there's not a lot of depth on this roster anymore, is there? Do you remember when we would look at I remember 2019 WrestleMania, they had 13 matches, and it's who are you going to leave off? And it's it feels like we're kind of forcing matches on the card at this point. It's just, I mean, I know the obvious answer, but this is something that does have to be remedied at some point, right, Bob? If it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit. They had too big of a roster and they overcorrected, and now they're kind of struggling, and they're in this weird time where they probably need to call some people up from NXT. But there's only a handful of at least male superstars there that are ready.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of women that are ready, but that's also another problem where they have a bunch of women that are seemingly not going to be in an actual match at WrestleMania and probably should be. like we talked about that too. Like I think in favor of just adding more men's matches just to do it, there's 4 or 5 women that you could put on that are going to end up in the battle royal or the tag match or whatever, and that's not even counting Bailey and Asuka.
It's just, I think the problem is that there is an inability to make folks stick, right? So you bring up Shotzi, and it's like she's someone that people had high hopes for, and she already feels like we need another one brought up, right?
Mhm.
Like that's a real problem they've had for a couple of years here. Hopefully they can figure that out. The big thing this week, I would say, Bob, is Roadblock, right? The NXT television extravaganza featuring a triple threat: Bron Breakker, Tommaso Ciampa, Dolph Ziggler. Is this the end of Dolph in NXT, or is this merely a bridge to Dolph and Braun WrestleMania weekend, which sounds like the funniest wrestling match ever?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of came out of nowhere, and then they're doing this weekly special or whatever, and then they're adding Tommaso to it, and it's just like, I don't know. It seems like they're doing a little too much. I was fine with just kind of building towards Braun and Ziggler at WrestleMania or Stand and Deliver, and now here we are doing this again, and it's like, I don't know that we're going to have a genuine answer until after tomorrow night.
Our pal here says the roster sucks. Mincing his words as always. There's no way around it. I don't think anyone can put together a good and fresh Mania card with what they have. Is that factual, Bob?
Yeah, I think so. At least on SmackDown.
The SmackDown roster is paper thin. Elsewhere on the Roadblock event, we have the Dusty Cup champs, Creed Brothers against Imperium. This one should be a hell of a match, shouldn't it, Bob? Give me an update on our guys, the Creed Brothers.
Yeah, it should be great. I like those guys. I think it is probably time to just give them the titles. Imperium can either chase or even be called up, or just be Gunther's henchman or whatever. There's plenty of stuff you can do with them. But yeah, it's time for the Creed Brothers.
It's probably, I think call up's a good point, man. I think that's probably where you should go. LA Knight.
Oh no.
I'm coming back. I'm back. It was a normal freeze, not a kicked off the StreamYard freeze. I can't wait to rewatch that, by the way. There was one point when no one was here, which is a black screen, which is tremendous. LA Knight, Grayson Waller, last man standing. How is this feud going? Why has LA Knight not been called up yet? And where are we at on Grayson Waller? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I think the feud's been going fine. Grayson Waller is good, but I don't think he's great. LA Knight, I mean, he should be called up after this. Like, he's ready. I think he's 39 or 40 already. So, you're kind of running out of time, and he could fit into either show's main card just immediately, or mid card, immediately. You add him to the Finn and Priest stuff. I don't know how he'd look against Ricochet. I mean, it would be good, but I think, there's definitely a spot for him, and I think what I would do is have him lose this and then go up, but we'll see.
Do we know what Mandy Rose's program is for the Stand and Deliver show yet, or is that yet to take shape?
Yeah, no, their thing has just kind of been, they come out and sit on a couch on the stage watching the Women's Dusty Cup, so
no.
No, so I think it'll probably be someone that is still in the Women's Dusty Cup at the moment, and then, they'll lose and go challenge her.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Like that whole thing, you and I have we've kicked around. It's difficult to see the end game there, but
it's kind of weird they did the Kaylee Ray match already.
Yeah, so that was just a TV main event, and that was it.
You'd think they'd save that for. I mean, I know it doesn't matter, but she was NXT UK champ for however many months or whatever.
Do you think this is the answer?
Mandy and Io? I could see it.
In theory, would be Io's swan song in NXT, which is like fucking at this point is redundant. But yeah, in theory, maybe that. Now I've saved the main event for last because I don't know if you've heard the scoop, Bob. NXT UK is about to get fucking backbreaking into oblivion, brother. Have you heard about what's happening over here in Great Britain?
I have. It's very exciting.
I'm pretty sure he's wrestling guys I don't want to see him wrestle, but Roderick Strong has blessed the British Isles with his presence. I have sent 7 emails and 4 handwritten letters to Dave Meltzer about the house that he drew here in England. The camera will not do it justice. We was packed in. There was approximately 27,000 people here. We sold the 24,000 of those tickets on the day of, once Alex tweeted the scoop. I would like everyone to know that my friend Alex McCarthy messaged me, Joe, whatever you do, watch NXT UK this week, which is one of the most threatening messages I've ever received from anyone that I consider a friend. I replied with the clip of Joe Pesci being shot in the back of his head in Goodfellas as he walks in to become a made man. For a moment, I thought Samoa Joe had headed to England to sign for NXT UK and was very concerned. And then I was told it was Rod Strong, and I pumped my fist and said, great, another reason for me to watch another wrestling television show. Exactly what I needed. The chat has confirmed my fear that he in fact wrestled Wolfgang, which is a perfect metaphor for why NXT UK fucking sucks. But Bob, your thoughts on Roderick Strong, the famed territory saver that he is, being sent here to Great Britain?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I will probably never watch it, but that's good. I like Roderick Strong quite a bit. I think that's a good thing for him to do, right? Like,
okay, that rules. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry I spoiled Goodfellas for you. Yes, I think he's perfect use of Roddy. I think he should just show up and do cool matches. I mean, again, cool matches being the key. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to, no one's going to watch it, but I will. So you get what you get, I suppose. Do you think, like, it's a bad thing, Bob, by any chance, that when I was told of this news, he was wrestling that night, and I didn't even know they were doing a show that night, and I typed in NXT UK tickets, and I couldn't access them because instead you have to do, like, a poll and sign up for, like you get invited to, like, a TV studio. Like, you can't just, like, buy a ticket. Is that bad?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the best way to promote your show.
It's almost like they can't move any tickets, and I'm the only person in Britain that cares that Roderick Strong was here. So therefore, it actually is a very logical way to do it. But you can't spoil this for me. This is filth. Do not lash out. By the way, Godfather 2. Bob, do you prefer Godfather 1 or Godfather 2?
I think I like 1 a little bit more, but it has been a while since I watched both of them.
1 is more enjoyable, but 2 is better in a lot of ways. Much like. Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, or MJF and CM Punk. 1 may be more fun, but the other is probably better. We will talk about that tonight, Bob, in just over 5 hours. You, myself, the Oracle of Wrestling, and Jay Shell Nicole. I have heard some takes, Bobby. One member of our team described the main event as the 11th best match on the show. Another described it as the match of the night. We are in for an extraordinary podcasting event. Bob, give the folks a little preview of what's going to be a spectacular Revolution review.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I think you can kind of gauge where at least Joe and Oracle and I are on most things. If you've followed the show or any of us on Twitter, there are 2 matches that I really didn't get into as much as everyone else seemed to, and you can probably guess which 2 they are because I talked at length about both of them, not really being for me. But overall, very good show, and looking forward to breaking it down tonight.
Jay Blood, I can confirm that is not the case. He is not Shoot. He will not be there tonight. Confirm Shoot is busy. He is. Can we talk about Bob or not?
Yeah, I think we can.
He's taking a meeting with Billy Corgan to talk about Bob and I entering the Crockett Cup here in a couple of... I bought that, by the way, Bob.
Did you?
I did, yeah. Hey, Joe, did you see the Bryan Danielson said Pac was perfect? Listen, man, everyone gets stuff wrong. Folks, this has been Fed Dead Redemption. We apologize for the problems there in the middle. A little bit of a different episode. Bobby's on his lunch break, so we'll do a nice condensed edition.
Ooh, one more thing real quick before I forget. Shout out to Vader, who going in the WWE Hall of Fame, which I know, not something that is a huge accomplishment. He's also not here to accept it, but it's still cool. His WWF run gets kind of overshadowed by the one match that didn't go well, but there's actually a lot of decent stuff there, and one of the few guys that I've seen a lot of from WCW.
Fascinated by you taking the unconventional route of giving a shout out to a man that's passed away, but I respected it. I thought you was going to go in the direction of like shouting out one of our viewers, but instead you said Vader, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Yeah, no, absolutely. I wish they'd done it when he was around, but Vader's a legend. All of his best stuff, or most of his best stuff, obviously, because it's not Japan, but the WCW run, is my point, is on the network. And as you said, there's some good stuff in WWF. It's just politics got to Big Leon. But yeah, he was great. Also, by the way, talking about Hall of Fame, Kerry Silken in the legacy part of the Ring of Honor thing, fucking rules. Love that. Good times, man. Wrestling, you know what, Bob? You and I have some fun and we whine and stuff, but like wrestling fucking rules, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
There you go. And with that, we conclude Fed Dead Redemption 5. Redemption indeed. WrestleMania is fast ahead. What do we got, Bob? 3 more weeks of TV? Is it we looking at 4? 4 more weeks of TV?
We are looking at tonight and then 1, 2, 3 more. Yes, so 4.
Yeah. 4 more weeks of TV before the grandest stage of them all. We'll be covering all of it. And then a WrestleMania review too, which we'll probably do. I don't know how we'll do that yet. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, right? Because last time I did it as like one whole collective, and by the time I reviewed night 2, night 1 was distant memory, brother. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you all in 5 hours for the Revolution review. Myself, Bobby, Oracle, and Jay Shell. In the meantime, enjoy this outro. Say goodbye, Bobby.